Hi guys, welcome back to the Comfy Cozy Chill podcast. I'm your host Maya, and today I am here with my cat, Kitchen, and we're on video for you guys. I'm hoping that since I have a little bit more free time now, I quit one of my jobs, so I'm hoping that I'll be able to give you some other content as well from the episodes of the podcast. I'm going to be recording them through video as well as actual audio. You can see my mic down here in the corner, and doing some other exclusive content just for YouTube. And I'm really excited. So, this week's episode, I thought I would do a book tag. I have a couple that I have found. One is just a newbie booktuber tag, which I guess I technically am, and the other one is a book tab that I found. I don't know why I sound all congested and stuff. I think it's just allergies from my cat. Come here, Kitchen, come say hi. Okay, I'll go do something else. So let's dive in. I have my laptop right next to me as well. So I don't know. I typed in booktuber without one of the B's in it. I don't know what's happening. I'm sorry. Okay. So I'm just gonna pick a few from the booktuber newbie tag questions and then go pick a few from the other book tag questions I found to make my own booktube tag questions. I'm sorry. I don't know what that was. So why did I start this channel? I guess why I can go into why I started the podcast. I just thought it would be something fun to do, something to do in my free time. And then why I'm starting this channel is because I want to broaden and expand the podcast into something fun, and I want to do things outside of the podcast that are still book related that I wouldn't be able to do just through an audio standpoint, like vlogs or my bookshelf tour. I think that would be really fun. Mostly blogs, and I think hauls are a lot more fun when you can like visually see what you've bought and like you can show people what you've bought. I think it's just a little bit, when you're talking about books, I think it's just a little bit easier to have a visual with it than just audio, in my personal opinion, which is why I like Booktube and why I like Book Talk so much. I've only listened to one book podcast and I like it. I just can't be doing like other things when I'm listening to it, because then I want to like go look up the books and see what they're about. So I think that's why Booktube is kind of more fun than just a regular podcast. What book or series are you into that got you into reading? I don't know. When I was young, I started reading when I was probably in about 4th or 5th grade, taking it like super seriously. So I'm 23 now, so I can't really remember what I was reading at the time. I know that I really liked the Spiderwick Chronicles when I was younger. I saw the movie and then like kind of read all the books. I don't really remember what any of them were about though. There was a book called Cinderella, which was like a modern telling of Cinderella that took place in like the mid-2000s when the book came out, which I really, really loved. I was in like the 4th grade reading it, and it was like a young adult book, which is kind of funny. I guess the other one would probably be Twilight. I loved Twilight in like the 5th and 6th grade, so like when the movie was first coming out, I was a big Twilight fan. So probably those three are really what got me into reading. I never read like Harry Potter as a child. I still have not read it. I don't really know why, and I don't think I will, just because I'm not really interested in reading it. But I think Spiderwick Chronicles Cindy Ella by Robin Palmer, and then the Twilight series are kind of what got me into reading. What kind of books do I like to read? I like to read young adult, contemporary, young adult coming of age, young adult romance, young adult fantasy. I've gotten more into some contemporary fiction. I've been buying true crime books because I love true crime podcasts. I haven't actually read any of them yet, but I've been buying them. So I have probably like 5 or 6 on my shelf right now that I'm excited to read. But I mostly like read and buy like young adult coming of age and young adult like romance. Those are my favorites to read. And then why do I love reading? I love reading because it's like an escape for me. I don't really have a lot of friends right now in this point of my life. So I get kind of lonely, and it's just something fun to do to like escape my loneliness, I guess. And it also like just makes me feel warm and happy inside, other than it just giving me something to do. I don't really know why I love reading. I don't know. I just love being able to like sit down on the couch or just like curl up in bed and just like read a book for like hours. And like I'm entertained by that. And I know not a lot of people can like relate to that. But I don't know. I just love, I don't know. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know. I don't really like any of the other questions from this newbie tag, so I'm just gonna go over to the other one. I'm gonna put links to both of these in the bio, so if anybody's interested in seeing the questions I didn't answer, you can go there. So this one is from a 20 questions book tag from Paper Fury. The first one is, how many books are too many for a series? I compare like series of books to like series of TV shows, and really if a book has more than like 6 in the series, it won't keep my attention, because then what will happen is I'll read the first 5 and then I have to wait a whole year for the 6th one to come out, and then I'll like forget what happens, and I don't want to reread those first 5 books. You know what I mean? Like I don't have time, and I just don't want to do it. They might not even hold my attention through all 6 of them either, so then I just feel like I wasted that time. So it's kind of like the same with like a TV series. Usually if a series is like 10 seasons long and each season has like 30 episodes on it, I will like binge it through the first like 3 or 4, and then like once I get to 5, like halfway through 5, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore. So I like shorter books, shorter series, kind of like how I like my TV shows. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. How you feel about cliffhangers? I don't mind a cliffhanger if it's not just thrown in there just to be thrown in there. Like if it makes sense to the plot, I'm like all for it. Especially if it like really builds up to the second book or the third book or whatever book comes after it, then I'm all for it. I mean, I do hate waiting, so that's kind of a problem, but I like a cliffhanger. Like I said, I compare my book series to like TV shows usually. And if there's a good cliffhanger in a TV show, then you're gonna want to like keep going. You know what I mean? So if there's a good cliffhanger in a book, it's gonna make you want to keep reading, is how I see it. So hardcover, paperback, probably paperback, just because I'm poor. Paperbacks are cheaper usually. Even at half price books, there's like a $5 difference, I have noticed. So probably paperback too, just because sometimes hardback books are a little bit bulkier and a paperback book is easier to carry around. But I like both. I don't really have a preference. Favorite book? I don't know. I can give you my top 3 favorite books and then my favorite book series. So my favorite books are All the Bright Places by Jennifer Nevin. I think it's Nevin. And then probably Anna Kay by Ginny Lee, which is like a modern retelling. of Anna Karenina in high society New York. And then I would say probably, if I had to pick one that I've read like super like recently, probably Our Chemical Hearts. Our Chemical Hearts by Crystal Sutherland. That book tore me to pieces, but I absolutely loved it, so I'm fine with that. And then my favorite series is probably The Raven Cycle by Maggie Stiefvater. I don't know, I love the way that she writes like fantasy realism, where it takes place in like the real world, but there's some aspect of magic to it. And I also just love like the aspect of a treasure hunt and like an old world magic, like Welsh magic, and just all the moving elements that she has going on throughout the books. And I think they're beautifully written, and I love all the characters. I do have an episode about the Raven Cycle that I will link in the bio if you're interested in learning more and like why that's my favorite series. But yeah, I just love the way that she writes, and I'm really excited for I just got Call Down the Hawk on Kindle, so I'm really excited to read that. And I'm also really excited for Mr. Impossible to come out, which even though I haven't read Call Down the Hawk yet, I just know that I will probably love it. Love triangles, yes or no? Hell yeah, I love a good love triangle. Like, especially if it's like an actual triangle, not where like person A is in love with person B but not person C, and just person C, like if person A is in love with both person C and B and they have to pick, chef's kiss. Like, who doesn't love a good love triangle? I mean, seriously. Sorry, I'm just reading this person's answer. I think it's really funny. But if they're not gonna be like in love, what's the point of a love triangle? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I love a love triangle, but if it's a good like chef's kiss worthy love triangle, then I love it even more. I mean, if a book has a love triangle, I'm gonna read it anyway because I love love triangles. I may not like it. Like, I guess Shadow and Bone. I'm reading the Shadow and Bone series right now, and it kind of has a love triangle in it between Alina, the Darkling, and Mal. But it's like not a love. It's like a love triangle, but it's kind of not. And I'm just like, I thought that I didn't know there was gonna be like a love triangle in it when I started reading it because I didn't really know what it was about. And then I read the first book, and I'm like, okay. And as it goes along, it becomes a little bit more apparent that it's kind of like a love triangle, but it's only a love triangle because Alina and the Darkling share like this magic ability that like no one else has. It's not a love, that's like their only connection to me. It's not a love triangle because they love each other. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, I can't explain it. A book that you're currently reading, like I said, I'm currently reading the Shadow and Bone trilogy. I'm on the last book. I'm about 2/5 of the way through. I think Goodreads told me I was about 40% of the way through. Yesterday, when I marked my progress, the show comes out on the 23rd, which is 5 days from today. I'm definitely gonna have Rise and Ruin, whatever it's called. Ruin and Rising finished. Rising and Ruin. I don't know. I'm gonna have that one finished by Friday. I wanted to read Six of Crows and Crooked Kingdom before the show came out as well. I probably will have Six of Crows finished, but not Crooked Kingdom, just because that's a lot of reading to do in 5 days. And I'll have to edit this video and the podcast and work, and my birthday is on Saturday and I have to like plan stuff for that, so I'll be a little bit busy this week. I'm gonna try to power through the rest of those books, so that's what I'm currently reading. I'm also reading The Liar's Daughter. I don't know who that's by, but I'll put a link to it in my bio. I got it on Kindle, and it's about this girl who his family is in a cult pretty much. Her dad is like the cult leader, and then something happens, the cult gets disbanded and she gets like thrown back into the real world and she's trying to get back to her like cult family. I kind of just read that when I like don't have like a real book in front of me, like at work or in the car or something, just because it's on my phone and it's easily accessible to me. I like it so far. I just want to know like what happened to like break up the cult, pretty much. But I'm also reading that. I'm technically still reading The Golden Compass that I started like way back in January, and then I like took a break from reading it to read another book that took me like a month to get through just because I was so busy, and I haven't picked it back up. But since I've been reading Shadow and Bone, I've been kind of more in a fantasy like frame of mind, so I could probably like crank out the Golden Compass, because I was like kind of into it. I just like had to like I was like couldn't I have to be in the right frame of mind to read fantasy, just because that's not what I read so much anymore. So it's kind of, I need to be in the right headspace for it, if that makes sense. I don't know. The last book you recommended to somebody, I think it was somebody, I went on a Bumble friend date and we were talking about my podcast and like books that I like because they asked me about it. And I'm pretty sure that I told them that they should read All the Bright Places by Jennifer Neven, and like it told them what it was about and like how sad it is. I don't know if she read it or not. I don't know if she will read it. I mean, that was like a week ago. But that was probably the last book I recommended that I can like think of. That was like a week ago. So favorite author, I have a few. Maggie Stiefvater's one. Morgan Matson, I love her stuff. Let me just take a look at my bookshelf. I like Mary H.K. Choi as well. I'm really digging Leigh Bardugo since I've been like reading all of her books. Rainbow Rowell, definitely. Jenna Evans Welch. Those are just kind of some of my favorites where I've read like multiple of their books and they're always like yes, I need to buy their new book like now. And I always like, when I go to the stores, I always look for their stuff to see if there's something that that's there that I don't have yet. But yeah. Buying books or borrowing books? Oh my god. I am so bad about buying books. Literally, I went to Half Price Books yesterday and I bought 5 books and 2 movies. And I was only going to buy 1 book because I've been trying not to buy so many books because my birthday is at the end of the month. And I wanted to buy a bunch of books on my birthday. And I was like, oh, this will be a great idea. Go to Half Price Books. And I bought 5 freaking books. So I'm really bad about buying books. I'm trying to borrow more books from the library, which is that's how I got all the Shadow and Bone trilogies, that I've been borrowing them from the library. But here's the thing, I like to reread books a lot, and it's hard to do that from the library if your local library doesn't have the book, and then you have to like order it and wait for it. Like I said, I hate waiting, so that's the only thing for me, is that I reread a lot, so I hate waiting. And then if your library doesn't have the book that you want and you have to order it and then you have to wait for it, it's like I'd rather just go to a store like Amazon and like have it right away. But the library's free unless you have late fees. So I don't know. But I also just got back into going to the library after not for like my 4 years of college, because I was like away from home. So I was away from my local library for the majority of the year except for summer breaks, so then it was hard to borrow books from the library. But I've recently gotten back into it, and I really like my local library. I haven't been in a few weeks just because I got multiple books at once and haven't read them yet, but they're due back on Wednesday, so I have to go back anyway. So yeah, I guess buying books, but I'm trying to be better about borrowing them. This one is Bookmarks or dog ears. I used to dog ear my books a lot when I was younger. I think because they were mostly library books, they were already dog-eared, but now I just use like bookmarks. I use like whatever I can find as a bookmark, usually like a receipt or a post-it note or like a straw wrapper, just like any like little slip thing. A book you can always reread. I would probably have to say Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell. I've reread that book twice, I think, since I've got it. I read it about once a year because it's like one of my favorites. And I'm due for a reread. I didn't read it at all last year, so I'm due for a reread pretty soon. So maybe I'll read that. Can you read while listening to music? Yes. I'm very good at multitasking. Can reread while listening to music. One time I was reading a book in the break room at work and listening to headphones at the same time, and somebody came in and they were like, "Oh, I can't believe you can do that, blah 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 blah." And I'm like, yeah, it's really a lot easier to tune people talking to me out when I have headphones in, so I can focus on what I'm reading, kind of thing, is more what I go for. I don't actually really listen to the music. I kind of just use it to tune people out. One point of view or multiple? I guess it depends. Like, if it's going back and forth between two point of views, I really dig that. I do like a one point of view, and it depends on like a multiple point of view situation. I guess it also depends, like, is it in first person or third person? If it's multiple point of views, I like it better when it's in third person, because then it's a little bit easier to like differentiate who's talking. If it's going like between back and forth between alternating point of views, I'm fine with like third person or first person. One point of view, like I'm fine between first person or third person. But I think if it's multiple point of views, like more than two, I think third person should definitely be used. But I don't really have a preference. It doesn't really matter to me. I tend to like one point of view from first person the best, because I can like put myself into that character's headspace. It makes a lot of sense for me. But I don't really have a strong opinion about either, so. Do you read a book in one sitting or multiple days? I have read books in one sitting. I am capable of doing it. But I would rather read a book over multiple days. Like I could read a book in 2 days. I could read a book in 1 day, but I would rather read a book in 2 days so I can like digest it better. Does that make sense? Like, that's a lot to read over the span of like however many hours, and then like, what if you don't remember what happens? I would rather like be able to digest what I've read over like a day or two than just like power through a book. I guess it also depends how big the book is too. So yeah. Who do I tag? I don't tag anybody because I don't have any book friends who do this sort of thing. So yeah, that was my book tag. I really liked this book tag from Paper Fury. It was super fun. Okay, so that was my book tag episode and the first video episode of the podcast. You can find the podcast on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Music, or Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts. Jeez Louise. Pretty much anywhere you listen to podcasts, you can find it. It's also on Anchor FM. All the links will be in the description. My podcast is on Instagram at _podcast. I'm also on TikTok, where I make book-related videos at MK Schaefer. I'm thinking about changing my name to have something a little bit more literary in the title, just so people know that I am trying to make videos about books, because that is everything that encompasses my life right now. Yeah, I'm also at my personal Instagram if you want to follow it. I will put in the description as well. I'm gonna put my Goodreads in the description as well too, so you can follow along to my progress of my 2021 reading goal of 25 books, which doesn't really seem like a lot, and I'm on book 5 right now, so I'm like a fifth of the way through, which is super fun. No, a quarter of the way through. No, No, I'm a fifth of the way through. Sorry, I'm very bad at math. Yeah, I hope you enjoy this video. I'm really excited to take the podcast into a video route as well and make other really fun content. And if it's not even for anybody to see, it's just for me. It's fun for me. So not a lot of people watch it. I don't really care because it's fun for me. It gives me something to do, and I don't know, it's just fun. So yeah, stay cozy, friends. Have a great rest of your week. Enjoy Shadow and Bone, the TV series, when it comes out, if you're looking forward to it like I am. If you want to talk about it, hit me up on Instagram and we can chat. This just comes out the Thursday before. So, yep. Bye!